it just took forever. Cool. So, and we are live now. So, hello everyone. Good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever you are. So today we have Troy. We're trying to get him for a while now. I'm a really big fan of him. So before we say hello and introduce him properly, we're gonna play the show reel as we always do, so you guys can know what he does a little bit better. Give me just 1 second, guys. Sure. Just cool. Let me know if you guys can see. Cool.
Let's just try flying through this one really quickly.
Nice work, man. Nice. Really cool. So we have Troy tonight with us. Troy, just to start, can I ask you just to introduce yourself and tell everyone what do you do, how you describe yourself?
Okay. Yeah, my name's Troy, and I'd say 50-50 motion designer to sort of illustrator. I live in UK, in Derby. No one lives here. I've been in the sort of the industry, I'd say, for about I actually don't know, more than 10 years. But I've been freelance for maybe half of that, maybe about 4 years. But I've kind of gained a bit of popularity, I'd say, in the past year and a half with this the collage style. But yeah, that's me really, just working at home since COVID. Which is great. Not COVID, working from home. So yeah, I just sort of live in this room where you're looking now. This is where I live, and I do a lot of work in here.
So are you from Derby originally?
No, I'm from Nottingham.
The rival.
Yeah, I know. I sort of I've gone on to the other side.
Do your family still talk to you, or are you kind of cut off now?
No, everyone. I got exiled from Nottingham. So I live in Derby now. It's like 20 minutes, depending on how fast you drive, up to Nottingham, and I'm there quite often anyway. But yeah, I kind of like it here. Like I said, nobody's here though, which isn't necessarily the worst. But
it's not a bad thing, to be fair. I mean,
I don't think so.
I'm up in the north as well, and there's nobody here either.
Whereabouts are you?
Just in Harrogate, so not about an hour and a half from you guys, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's me, I think.
So let me ask you, because you're quite really remote, so your clients are mainly like UK or like Europe, US, you work from everywhere,
Yeah, everywhere, all over the place really, and that's what I've loved about it really, is sort of speaking to people all over the world. The places where I've done work for most, I'd say, is probably in the last year, I'd say in the US, around the sort of LA area. For some reason, that just seems to be where I seem to be doing a lot of work. But I've never been.
Yeah.
But I do intend on going. But yeah, the UK clients, yeah, I don't. At the start, it was all UK clients, but I think since COVID, I honestly feel like the industry's opened up quite a lot.
It's opened a lot more now.
Yeah, a lot of the big places are sort of sourcing talent from all over the world, and there's fewer barriers, I would say.
I think COVID gave because we were forced into it. Obviously everyone had to adapt or not. Whereas previously, people were like, "Oh, remote, it's a bit questionable." It's like, look, if you're working with someone for a long time anyway, then sure they should trust you and you'd get the work done regardless. And I think COVID, the one silver line is it kind of forced that issue and made more studios go, oh, actually, yeah, it actually works okay. So we don't have to limit how talent pool to local, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I agree really. I just think it's just opened things up for a lot of people. They're sort of finding people in the weirdest places. I mean, I don't know if 10 years ago I would sort of have the clients I had in Derby, let's say, if that sort of transition didn't happen. So yeah, for me, I mean, generally the COVID, not necessarily the disease, but the lockdown and the sort of reaction to that, personally was quite good for me. The whole lockdown sort of slowed the world down, and yeah, I think I sort of had time to sort of gather my thoughts a little bit, and it was basically since COVID I sort of gained a bit of momentum, and it was sort of due to me sort of having that time and that space to, I don't know, just work on my own thing and really just push that. But yeah, I think it was obviously a terrible disease and it had a terrible effect on the world. But I mean, that
work-wise was quite good.
Yeah,
I think for animation, the whole industry just booming. You know, like we had so much more animation work going on, especially because they couldn't film as much as before. But I think,
what if it turns out, like in the future, that COVID was actually set up, you know, by some animation studio who needed more work? You know, it wasn't Wuhan or anything; it was just an animation studio out there.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of worked, but it was only in the short term, I guess. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's kind of leveled out a little bit now, and but yeah, that would be a funny conspiracy.
So were you working full time for a studio previously before you started freelancing?
Yeah, I worked for a couple of places. They were sort of like video production houses, you know, quite corporate. All of them were really quite like B2B type setups, which was fine. I mean, you get the experience that you need. But yeah, that was it really. I mean, it's a good place to learn and to sort of meet people as well, and sort of get your head around sort of designing for clients. But it's a completely different kettle of fish when you do it freelance. It's way better, I would say.
Yeah. And one question for you is, you just commented in the beginning, like you've been doing collage more in the last like year and a half kind of thing, and it's something really stand out really big on your, you know, like with your work now. I see you doing more and more constantly every day, you know, doing like personal work, and it's a niche that you suddenly found and you really love, or is something you always like it?
I mean, I've always sort of drawn inspiration from sort of collage artists. I mean, where it all started, sort of in the heat of COVID when it was lockdown, I was approached to do a video about Black identity. It's called Black is a Beautiful Struggle, and for that one I was sort of given sort of director rights, so art director rights, and sort of to direct this thing. So it was kind of up to me for the first time in my career. It was like up to me what this thing looked like and what it was going to play out like. So I really just like grabbed it with both hands and explored stuff that I wanted to do. And for me, collage stuff is what I wanted to do, sort of a mixed media type video that didn't necessarily look like it was made in After Effects. It was just quite, I don't know how to put it, a bit more analog as opposed to, you know, just like clean vector lines, which I used to do quite a lot of stuff like that. It was like vectory illustrations. But with this one, I just wanted to try something different. So it just kind of worked out. And from then I got another collage job. So that sort of gave you an opportunity to try something else, and then another one, and then you try it out. And then I did with a few other animators as well, did a video for Universal Music for James Brown, super bad. It was like a 9-minute music video. It was ridiculous. Absolute. Oh, it was pain, but we got through it. But out of that, I sort of developed this style that I've been sort of doing over the past year or year and a half. So yeah, it just sort of turned into me, and it was really easy for me to do as well. So once that lined up, oh, I can actually produce something quite nice that I enjoy, and it's really easy to do. I kind of knew that that's what I kind of needed to keep doing, rather than it being a struggle every time. It was, oh, I've got an idea, and then I can sort of, I kind of like to work quite quickly as well, and that was one of the reasons that I really like this style, and it was quite rough and ready. So yeah, like I say, my inspirations were Ariel Costa, and Anthony. He runs a studio called Podenco as well, and I just looked at their work and really just basically just really wanted to get that same sort of vibe, and they were all doing collage, and I sort of explored that a little bit further.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice to see you comment as well about inspiration, because I see you changing and developing your style quite more and more, you know, since the beginning. I've been seeing you doing collage. Your style is just changing, and you're always trying to do a new thing. So it's quite nice to see nowadays, you know, even you have inspiration, I can see your work and I can see literally who did that job, you know. So it's not like just a simple collage. You got your style into that collage as well. It's really nice to watch you developing there.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I do try new things. I think I just sort of get an idea, and I do know little bits of a lot of software. I mean, I'm an expert in none of them at all, but I kind of know little bits. And if something inspires me, I'll get an idea, I can explore it. I've been messing around with 3D collage characters, and they've been really fun as well, just sort of messing around with different styles. But yeah, I'm happy to hear that you feel like it's developed, because I think that's all I kind of want to do. I don't really want to do the same thing over and over again. So it just makes me sad. So, but no, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. You can see it's really clear, you know, the change in how you developed on the time, and also how you're getting your own style in the collage. So I really love to watch that, because it's just like, you know, some people just keep doing always the same, but you know, it's nice when people develop through, you know, like the design wise and animation as well. Really nice.
Yeah, well, I feel like there are some there is a thread, I guess, that carries through them all. But yeah, I try and sort of just try different things out, I guess. And there was one of my most recent jobs for the Crocs Kids thing. I don't know if you saw those, but
there's a question on YouTube about the Crocs Kids, but I'll ask you afterwards in case you probably cover it.
No, go for it, because it might sort of lead me on that.
It says, Guy says, how is it like to apply your own strong personal work to an ad campaign like the one for Crocs? Did they call you because the style matches their idea, or did they have an idea to match your style?
I think it was maybe a bit of both of those, actually. I've been speaking to the designer, Salehi Bembry, and we'd been talking about projects maybe up to like 4 months ago. But for this particular one, he just kind of wanted me to sort of go for it. But I think because it was the subject was kids and there was a brand, I couldn't sort of distort it too much. I mean, you see all my other stuff, it's really like bent out of shape, quite aggressive, and quite, I don't know, ugly in some ways. But the photographs that they sent were like fantastic, and the kids looked super cute, and there was no way that I could do that to them. There's always
their mums would kill you.
Yeah, I know. The photos were like super cute, so it was a matter of sort of playing around with the proportions that I like to play around with, but keep that cuteness intact. And I feel like I could fully have pushed those more to make them a little bit more distorted. But I think for this campaign, you have to sort of tailor it a little bit, and I felt the best thing forward was to try and preserve the cuteness, and that was by reducing the amount that I distorted them. but still, but what I mean, at the start, I was actually quite worried that I wasn't doing enough to the images, but I think since the feedback came in, that they all kind of look like I touched them in some way.
Oh, that's nice.
That was a good feeling, because it was almost like, okay, so the style's still preserved, but I actually reined it in a little bit because it was just right for the project, and I was super happy with them, and it was such an easy project.
Crocs are becoming quite an interesting brand, I think, because they're kind of pushing themselves. Like, you know, they've done collaborations with was it like Wu-Tang last year, and also like Greg's as well.
Right, I've not seen the Greg's one, but
yeah, man, you can get Greg's Crocs.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking. I'm not serious.
Oh my god. Okay, that's not something like Primark would do. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it was a fun one to do, and it's probably one of the I think it was probably the biggest sort of commercial fashion thing that I'd worked on, and again, those sort of things should be quite stressful, but throughout the whole thing, I felt trust from Salehi and his team all the way through. I mean, there were, I'd say 90% of them, there were no changes needed, and that's always a good feeling.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
that's so unusual, man.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from one image, which was almost like a product shot, nothing went over version 2. And yeah, like I say, 90% was version 1 of the way. So
well, that's cool.
It's good, and that just sort of gave me a little faith in what I was doing, and that I was trusted, because that can be a lot of the turmoil when you're designing stuff, is you're almost trying to be in the client's head, and especially when they've given you sort of weird feedback, and you're like, oh, you're interpreting as you're going, and it's really difficult to work like that. So
I mean, they just sound like the absolute ideal client. Like, man, they trust you, they let you get on with it, and they just obviously everyone's commissioned for their style, so trust in the style.
Yeah.
It's nice when the client comes to you to do what you like and what they see, because that kind of has that feeling they trust you, but not all the times that end up being, like you saying, like really smooth. Even they come to you, you get some kind of clients who's really picky and want to really direct the project, even they hire you to do it. But it's nice to hear that it's as James said, that's like a rare project.
No, and they're always the easiest when they trust you, and you go forward, and you've not really got that sort of internal dialogue of what the client, you're not interpreting what they're saying, and it can get quite dark, when you're sort of designing, and you're just in your head, and you really battling sort of so much like negativity and whatnot.
Especially when you're obviously you work by yourself at home. If you're in a studio, you can pass around ideas and not necessarily have like a dark cloud over you, if you know what I mean. So it's quite I think it can get quite tricky.
But I would say that in the past year and a half, and I think since I'd sort of been sort of known for this style, let's say, that happens less, that sort of dark cloud, because they kind of know what they've seen what they want, and they've all in the pitch deck, they've kind of shown you your own stuff and said, oh, make it like that, the thing that you've already done. So it just makes it so much easier. But it's I guess one of the earlier projects this year, I was dealing with a client that also had a client, and that was really hard to sort of navigate their feedback, especially when it was conflicting, or amongst themselves, and you're like second guessing them, and that was a pain. And then just to go into this one was it was a breath of fresh air for sure.
So it's like extra layers of pressure from trying to appease two people.
But I mean, you just got to kind of keep telling yourself it's kind of all in your head, a lot of that stuff as well, and you can only do your best. And
so being based in Nottingham, how do you go about finding new work and new clients kind of thing? Is it just all through like your social media, and they kind of come to you now?
It has been again, in the past year and a half, it's sort of yeah, the jobs have sort of come in quite steadily, which is good. I'm also signed to an agent, the Different Folk, and they're out there putting the feelers out too. So yeah, I kind of do the Instagram stuff because it's almost like a sketchbook. I'm just sort of like posting stuff as and when I want. And but there's a reason behind that as well, is that I kind of post the work that I want to do, and that's kind of worked so far, because yeah, I'll do some sort of trainer piece, let's say, and then that will be in a pitch or a brief back to me. So I know that that's kind of working, you know, that sort of thing. So it's always about doing work in your free time that you kind of want to do what you want to get paid for.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, so you tailor your personal projects to, you know, what you want to do going forward. Oh, you know, this will be great for such and such brand. I'll do an image that I think might fit their ideology.
Yeah, maybe. No, I guess it's not as thought out as that. I don't think anything I do is. It's just sort of, oh, I really want to do sort of this edgy image, or this image with a vibe, and then because that's what feels good to me. And then when they come back, or the client comes and they want that sort of thing, that's what it's not necessarily a brand thing, or even an industry, more of a vibe thing. I can't believe I said that.
Yeah, because when like you're talking about look like more analog, do you do alloy stuff? You know, I saw some of your, you know, behind the scenes when you print and cut again and everything. But is it most of your collage work like digital, or are you still doing a lot like going and cutting things out and scanning there or photograph there?
Yeah, I'd say the sort of the physical stuff is more what I do for fun, but extra fun, because when it's sort of like craft time with my son, we do collage stuff, or we draw and things like that. But he's actually really got into collage, and I've posted a couple of them recently, and yeah, he did quite well on there. He's pretty good. But I'd say the sort of, I've kind of like developed into physical collage because it looks fun. I've got like a pile of magazines, so I kind of just do that the weekend with my son. But I'll sometimes get an idea like, oh, what if I did a normal digital collage and then printed out all those layers from Photoshop, and then cut them out and put them back together again. And that was like one that I've got up there. More just experiments, I would say. You're a lot more free, I think, in when it's there in front of you.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to get away from the screen.
Yeah, you've not really got to sort of worry about anything technical. It's like, oh, I've got a prick stick and I've got a craft knife and a piece of paper, and that is basically it. And it's quite easy.
It just adds a nice, I don't know if it's really a definable thing, but it adds a nice tangible quality to it, you know, to give that kind of physical feeling that you can't really get through all digital.
No, and I mean, you are kind of producing a physical thing that's in front of you as well, and there's something quite special about that, I think. So,
I mean, what's your son think you do for a living then? Just make pictures?
Yeah, that's what he says, and I think that's anyone who knows me, who's kind of not in the industry, would just say that sort of thing. But no, he really likes that James Brown video. It's got like superheroes in and stuff, and it's quite fun. And he kind of thinks he's sort of in that age where he's kind of into YouTube and YouTubers and things like that, and he kind of thinks I'm sort of like some sort of YouTuber type guy, and because I sell t-shirts, and he's like, oh, you sell merch and stuff. I'm like, all right, but
he doesn't expect you to box Logan Paul, does he?
Oh no, thankfully. Yeah, I'm not that guy. But yeah, I think he's kind of aware of what I do, actually. And the past few months, he's really, I think he's getting more and more creative, which is really, really nice to see. Something we can share doing. You know, Yeah,
It's quite nice.
Yeah,
it's nice when you can see the creativity in a kid, because I feel like the older we get, the more restricted our creativity is in our own mindset. Whereas, you know, when you see creativity in a kid, it's all just completely free and no rules, which is just nice.
Yeah, you say that, and I guess you would expect that, but with him, he's really like hard on himself, and he's like really like striving for perfection, and I'm like, oh, calm down, like it doesn't have to be
The imperfections are the perfections.
Yeah, I know. So it's a bit reverse because I'm a lot more freer than but he just wants to, he's got like impossible expectations with everything, and it's really hard for him to keep trying and keep failing. It's something we're gonna keep working at that, because that is life, you know, it's one big fail essentially. So
one day at a time.
yeah, I really want to help him with that, but yeah, it kind of helps me because also I can sort of see him and he's like really struggling with certain things, and I'm like, oh, just don't worry about it, and then that kind of reinforces that in me as well. So
with the like with the physical collage side, are you doing or like playing around with like stop frame animation as well, like physical stop frame animation?
No, but that's a good idea. I mean, I've just started following somebody who does sort of physical video collages, and the effect, I mean, I'll send the link to you guys later on, but the effect is incredible, and they've painstakingly cut out every frame of, let's say, I can't remember a name actually, but yeah, amazing stuff. Sorry, what was the question?
You should do animation with it. Physical animation.
No, I've not done anything yet, but there's we've started making like clay models and stuff like that, so that's something I want to do.
Oh, nice. So you're kind of mixing up the medias as well.
Yeah, sure.
And Guy has another question I want to get into a little bit, because you've been posting a little bit of kind of your collage 3D, you know, like bring it to 3D software. So Guy said, can you reveal the secret behind the 3D animation you posted recently? How was that done, and how far you painting to go in the 3D road? You know, is something you're really pushing, because I assume that is more like your personal thing at the moment, you know, but it's I didn't see anyone doing that yet, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry, one second, I'm just putting this drink out. I put a little poll out on Instagram with this event on, because you call it like drinks with.
Okay.
I thought we was all going to be having a drink, so I sort of asked them if I'd drink beer or rum, and they've chose rum, so that's what I'm pouring.
Maybe I should go get a whiskey.
Go.
One moment.
Do it. Are you in the office?
Carry on.
Okay.
I'm still in the office. Yeah, normally I do in the office. It's just easier. But it's nice to see, because it's fun. Guy asked that question because it's something I didn't see much, you know, out there, and it's quite nice, you know, you experiment, because you don't really expect, you know, someone doing like a collage, and normally you don't even expect that person trying to use 3D, because it's such a, you know, a complete different mindset, and trying to bring that collage into the 3D world is like, fuck, why? You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always I think I'm kind of not scared of software. I mean, it's just a matter of sort of figuring it out. But when I was at university, I sort of was on the 3D part of the course. So, and that's kind of where I sort of fell in love with, or sort of got my head around, and became a little bit more not as intimidated by 3D software back then. And I've kind of always dabbled, because I used to love like modeling, you know, like buildings and things like that. It was so therapeutic, like breaking down the shapes. But that was at university. So I've always had that sort of, like I say, I don't really know much about the software, but I can get my way around, and I think with that understanding, it frees me up.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to sort of reveal the process on those 3D things though. So there's a bit of software it's like a website that does this. It's called Monster Mash. One second. Yeah, so if they wanted to try it out, try it's called Monster Mash, and basically what you do is you load in a still image onto a flat website, and then you draw around, you trace the image, and then that will sort of like extrude like a bubble form of whatever you've drawn, and then you can take that into I use Blender because it's free, and then it exports an OBJ, I think it is, and then you put that into Mixer mode, which sort of auto rigs it and then gives it an animation.
All right, that's nice.
And then you sort of bring that back to Blender, and then you export it, and then I put it into After Effects and messed around with it in there. But yeah, it was a great little. Sorry.
So the mesh that comes out of it, is it kind of like it's quite a decent mesh as well?
Not really. It's triangles. It's all over the place. But again, I literally can't be asked to sort of waste time on topology and things like that. It's like I just want it to be done quickly, as quick as possible. I want it to be a bit rough. So yeah, if you looked at it, you're into 3D, you'd probably vomit at the mesh, but I don't care.
I guess it kind of arcs back to like the imperfections are the perfections. Like having a bit rough is kind of, I mean, definitely with the collage style, totally works anyway.
Yeah, I think the collage allow you to have that freedom. No? It's a different style. Yeah. Well, one question, because we're seeing a lot more and more. We're seeing like, the AI taking place. Of course, it's a completely different thing, but is it something you've been playing around and trying to implement in your work? Because even like generating like a lot of stock image, with AI, you can generate whatever you want and use that image for collage because you have complete freedom, on top of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and a lot of people have really just like struggling with AI and like sort of defining how they feel about it. Well, I know I am. I'm really like, one day I hate it, the next day I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty good, and then the next day I'm like, oh, what is this solving? But I kind of rested on what you said then about using it as almost like stock. Yeah. And then once I thought about that a little bit more, I was like, okay, well, obviously it's useful, but it's kind of how I kind of see generative AI. It's kind of just like, it's just stock, isn't it? Essentially, you're typing something in, you're getting an image, regardless if it was generated by AI or you was delivered it by the search engine. So I think if it's used in that way, I mean, that's cool, and I think it's probably something I should have a mess around with, sort of trying to, because it is quite hard finding the right image to do stuff with. Sometimes not, sometimes it's really easy, or sometimes you'll be scrolling and you'll see the image and you'll go, oh, okay, I can.
Because there you can kind of generate your, the reason I was thinking about that, because a few weeks ago, some friends in my agency was just showing, it's just like for usage, like to get models and shoot things the way you want, you'd pay a fortune, and agencies start looking always the way how you can make cheaper or them pay there, but in that way it feels like wrong, because you're using a digital person to do the branding, but using as to generate as a stock image, is just like give you an extra level of control of the image you want, and feels quite powerful in that way as well.
Do you think there'll be a question in the future? I mean, obviously AI isn't going anywhere, but do you think there'll be a question in the future of like who owns the rights to a certain style? Like obviously you're known for your style, so if someone's generating a similar style, even to use as a stock or whatever in their project, it opens up a lot of questions.
Yeah, but it's the same nowadays. No, I think we still have people copying stuff. It's
no, you do change. But I think the scale is
the scale is going to be massive. It's just it's so easy to reproduce stuff, and I think in that sense it's quite scary as well.
Well, yeah, I think what it is I think you kind of want to sum it up and be right about it, what it's like. What, like, you kind of want to sum it up and be right about what it's going to be like in the future, but there's kind of no way to do that. It's
no. It's so rapid. Everything is so rapidly evolving and changing that landscape is completely different to what it was even like a year ago. There's no way of there's no way of really knowing, I don't think.
No, they already. What is the name of the guy? The guy from Google then was like the godfather of AI.
Oh, yeah.
He just quit and he said,
"We're all gonna die, man."
Yeah, the AI is gonna be clever than a human, and it's really scary. You know, like if it's used in the bad way, you know, like they can take over.
Didn't it remind you of like the Nobel Peace Prize, set up because they didn't like the invention of the atomic bomb or whatever, and this is like his version of trying to get a bit more calmer in the world. That's what this sounds like too. I've opened a Pandora's box of AI. I can't close it, but I've got to put out some kind of warning.
Yeah, I'm out, but here's the warning, guys.
Yeah, I'm off to New Zealand. Bye.
There's one thing that I'm sure about is that it's going to completely change everything. And again, I think like the internet, that changed everything. Some things for the worse and some things for the better. So I think it's probably going to be a bit of that again. Let's just hope we can sort of keep the job. The thing is, I just feel like why art though? There's so many things that AI could do. Like it's like one of the things that we enjoy, like any art, they're sort of using AI to generate songs and video and things like that. And I honestly just feel like, oh, why that? Can you just like get it to be a government or something like that? Or
especially since the essence of art is basically you're putting some part of your soul on a canvas or whatever,
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got this soulless thing. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've kind of, as it's gone. I mean, at the start of this, when it was really hot, AI stuff, it was really scary, and you could sort of feel that from a lot of people. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to lose my job. It's going to be next week." And it was really hot. But again, that's kind of a fashion thing, and I think when we kind of start to realize that AI, generative AI art is akin to using a stock image website, then it's not that dangerous, I guess. Not immediately anyway. But who knows? Again, I'm like making these statements and I could be completely wrong.
It's changed so fast as well.
I could be completely wrong now. I probably am wrong now, and I could be completely wrong tomorrow. So I just tend to be quite fluid on this, and sort of I think your idea there about using it as
I think as a tool is really powerful, because even I've been looking the last 2 weeks. I don't write any codes, anything, but it's just so powerful how like ChatGPT can help you to write expression for After Effects and even make your own fucking script for After Effects. Things like that Adobe never did for us for years. You can spend a couple of hours and
can we get AI to make like the perfect version of After Effects?
Yeah, you can make all the scripts you want for that, and you don't need to know how to code or anything. He does everything, create the UI for you and everything. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
As a tool, I think it's really powerful, and like using as a generate stock image, helping you to develop scripts, things like that. It just as you said before, always we have that situation where people are going to use in the bad way, and there is the good side.
I wonder if you can use it for recipes. For like tonight, I want dinner. I have these. This is my fridge.
You probably can, I think.
Oh no, yeah, there is a script. I think where you can sort of take a picture of your cupboards and your fridge, and it will sort of give you 10 recipes based on what you put in your fridge. Which, I mean, that stuff I feel is quite helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
And the scripting thing, I've made some expressions in After Effects using ChatGPT, and
it's really good.
I've created like a business plan in ChatGPT, and even sort of brainstorming stages for sort of brand names and things like that. It's really good. It's almost like having somebody that can't get offended if you say, no, that's a terrible idea. Try
Yeah.
something else. It's like having that, and that is quite invaluable in a way. And that's why I feel, and the fact that anyone can access this sort of this resource, I think it's going to change the world. I think it's quite early now, but you're going to sort of next 10 years, it's going to be incredible.
It's going to be
really cool.
probably the next 3-4 years. You know, it's moving so fast.
We can't be that far off, like an AI generated TV show. There's got to be one pretty soon.
They did a commercial. They've been doing quite a few commercials. They did one for beer, I think, came out today or this week. Is really like fucked up bad. You know, like everyone trying to cheers and doesn't go right. The guy's drinking off. I posted the link.
I know. I saw a trailer today for the next Black Mirror season. You know they're gonna do AI. They have to. They have to.
Yeah, I mean they've got to, and it's like the film Her as well. I mean that sort of explored that. Yeah. And most films, modern films anyway. But yeah, I love that. I don't know if that's anyone's going to watch Her, but the fact that the end is AI going, look, we don't actually want anything to do with you, look, we're going to just go.
I mean, to be honest, if AI had Scarlett Johansson's voice, I mean,
well, it could do. I mean,
not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, you could ask ChatGPT to, I don't know,
serenade.
Yeah, but yeah.
And talking about the future, where do you see you, in the next 3-5 years? What do you have plans? Things you want to develop yourself? Do you think really ahead, like want to work in TV series or things like that, or you just want to keep developing your work, your style?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't got a plan or anything, but I feel like there is sort of a direction that I'd like to move in. I've got like so many like creative dreams that I'd like, but who knows if you'll sort of get there. Sometimes you have to be quite self-motivated and do those things, but sometimes they land on your lap as well. So I just kind of remain open-minded and sort of willing to keep going, messing around. I really want to make like a game, but I also want to start making some more narrative shorts. And I think that's where the 3D experiments is going to come in to sort of help out with a couple of those things. Especially the shorts. So I just kind of want to just keep going really, and just keep going.
I think kind of related, like where do you find like inspiration for your where does that come from?
I don't know, just random stuff. Not necessarily stuff related to art. I think you just get these like random ideas sometimes, and you just want to go for it. You can get inspired by people on Instagram and just looking around. But another thing that's quite inspiring is like looking at your own work. I don't know if this is like common, but looking at your own work can actually fill you with a little bit of like pride, and sort of you kind of forget when you've been happy about something and you've decided to put it out, you kind of forget about that. But then when you look back at it, it's quite nice to see that, I can actually do something that I'm quite happy with. And that is that's more when you're sort of in a bit of a black hole and a bit of writer's block. And you kind of want the wheels to be greased. Looking at your own work can really help do that, because it kind of reminds you that, you can actually do it. so
one thing I quite like doing, I don't know if you guys are the same, but like just looking through old sketchbooks, like from like a decade ago or something, where you've written down a morsel of an idea that you couldn't really think about, and obviously now looking in retrospective, and you've got much more skills and much more better skills than that. That's I always find that quite a good thing to do.
Yeah, that sounds like quite a similar thing really. It's sort of looking within essentially, as opposed to sort of looking out, because I guess those inspirations are sort of not homegrown. Essentially, I don't know, maybe they are. I don't know. I try not to make any too many statements or anything. Like I know what I'm talking about, because I don't. So, but yeah, I think that's a good shout. Actually, it's always nice to look through those old sketch pads and see those doodles and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think social media, especially Instagram nowadays, is turning to be kind of like you said, you like to post a lot as your kind of your sketchbook as well. You posting that so you have a timeline, you can always go back and it's nice. I don't remember if it was someone in the show said or I saw somewhere else, but like people normally got really scared to show early stage or if not happy, and some people just like don't give a shit, just put the thing there. It's like a kind of a practice for them, it doesn't matter if people look and people like or not, by using like the social media or the Instagram, just like your everyday sketch is good or is bad, it doesn't really matter.
Absolutely. I think that's the key to it. I mean, if you're sort of scared to put something out, it's almost just like don't bother doing. I mean, just put it out. Don't care what anyone thinks. It's kind of irrelevant. It's always nice to get sort of feedback, and that's fine. But you should always try and look inward on that sort of thing. Like, do I like this? I mean, some of the posts on, if I was to look at some of the posts on Instagram, I mean, some of my favorite ones are the ones with the fewest likes. But that doesn't make me like them less. So I think it's just kind of be like quite mindful with yourself. Like, do I like this and why? Or I mean, you can look at these things. It's nice to have a metric, but at the same time, I wouldn't look too much at that. No.
Yeah, and also you got, you never really know how a post gonna go. Depends really. It can be your best work and no one like, and suddenly you post
so
the worst one, and it's like, it's really.
Sometimes it feels like it's not really about the work; it's just about whatever the algorithm picks, kind of thing.
Yeah, there is that as well. I mean, yeah, because you can beat yourself up, like, oh, okay, this hasn't got as many likes as that, but there's things going off in the background that you've just got no control over, unless you're sort of willing to sort of bend to the whim of some code that you can't see. It's going to send you a bit crazy. So you honestly just best off internalizing, because the only thing you do know is how you feel. So just go with that and ignore everything else.
It's like when you do a pitch, really. Like the pitch might not win the job, but it still doesn't make it a bad pitch. It just might not be right for that specific client.
Yeah, or even the client doesn't have the right taste.
Yeah, maybe they're fucking wrong.
Yeah, well, no, they're always wrong. They are.
Guy asked another question here. I think it's quite interesting question, especially because you're pushing a lot your work nowadays, like going to the collage and developing that style. And he basically asked, is there a downside, of having such a strong personal style? Can it be kind of a limiting, when clients come to you, nowadays they look, or they want to there, or they're not going to come to you anymore,
Yeah, that is a great question, actually, because recently I tried to change the direction on something. They came to me for the collage style, and I thought, oh, let's try something different. And they was like such a big shock for them. Like, no, we want to do the collage stuff. And it kind of, it was like the biggest sort of pushback that I'd had from a client for a while, like completely like, no, this is completely wrong. And it was because I tried like this more cartoony look. So in a way, it is kind of limiting, because the clients that tend to come in, they kind of see your style and they go, oh, we want that style. And you can't really sort of, well, you can try and sort of, sort of twist their arm a little bit or try and convince them or show them something else. But at the end of the day, they kind of sourced you out because they looked for that style and they found you for it. So you kind of have to stay in that boundary in a way. But that's client work, and that there's always going to be constraints, or I don't know, an overarching vision that's not necessarily yours. So you kind of have to work with that, and that's just
But I think that is, I don't know, because I really hate the concept when people say, oh, I'm an artist, I've always had in my mind, I'm considering myself a designer, because I think an artist is someone that stays doing your own thing and people come and buy what they do, you know, and a designer comes to the job, you know, in artistic way, but to solve a problem, you know, a designer needs a problem to solve, an artist just creates the art. But I think when you have such a strong style and people coming to you, it's kind of a similar concept than being an artist, doing your own things, putting them, and the clients coming to, you know, buying what you're doing, you know. In a way, a lot of artists does that, and sometimes they develop a different styles and start showing that style, and people start getting into that. So it creates a limitation, but doesn't block you to not be able to develop other things and start changing your Instagram to suddenly going 3D now. And you know, in a year time, people is gonna get in you for a different things than collage, you know.
Well, that's it. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great point. The sort of definition between artist and designer, and I'm kind of like hovering in between there. I've never actually thought about that much, but that's really food for thought on that. And if you have got time to do sort of personal projects, you should always try and explore different styles and mess around, because that's the work that's going to get you the work that you want to go. So I mean, if I wanted to start doing cartoony stuff for client work, then I would do a lot of that in my own time. So I can, like, it's proof of concept, and you're sort of like pushing it out there. You're also developing, but you're also showing examples for potential clients, how they could use it for their sort of commercial projects. So it's a balance. I guess a lot of people are probably within those two realms of artist and designer, and they kind of like snake in between. And I'm still there. I mean, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember who was. I think it was like about 10 years ago at Off Festival. I saw a guy, I don't remember who it is, but he had this wheel of how he describes, you know, like trendy work and a kind of thing. And he literally, the concept was like, you start doing your personal work, you know, and you invest in your time, and that you get recognized by that, and all the brands come to you and give you the money for that. And he said, you know, the time people trying to catch you, you already got big, people already know you, and you already got the money for that. And he said that you need to invest that money back to develop a new style, because when people start copying you, you know, and they get to do what you do, you're already producing a different thing, and the brands come to you. So it's kind of a cycle that repeats. And that's why he always said, you know, if you keep, you know, of course, people is going to again start copying. That's always happened with the trendy. But when you use that time, you know, when you get the brands to pay you the money, you have that money to reinvest your personal work. It's what we always say, you know, clients buy what they see. You know, it's hard. The client's going to come to you and say, oh, can you develop something new for me? You know, and like that. And they normally point to something or come with someone's reference and something. We're working
like
a creative.
at a menu.
Yeah, it's pretty much, you know, it's pretty much. How many times we get like reference from Animate or other studios like that, they come to us and we say, just go to Dan, you know, bro, you can't afford that, you think we're going to do a bit cheaper, you know, for you. Just go straight to them and ask them to do it, you know, if you got that reference, you know, why are you asking us to cop? But it's the way I think advertisement work, you know, it's quite hard, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's really, but it's nice, you know, like to understand, you know, like, because I think what you're doing, and you pretty much post almost every day, you know, on the social media.
Yeah, I did to start off with. I've had a few breaks, but I kind of get in these moods where I feel like I want to just mess around with something. And that maybe last like a couple of months at a time, and then I'll have a little break, go in my hole, and then I'll start getting inspired again, and I'll start spitting loads of stuff out. So that's kind of how it has been, totally inconsistent and all over the place. But when I have been posting, it's been, sometimes like twice a day, just I don't know, just going for it, not necessarily feeding the gram or anything, but just more like I was just in the mood to create some stuff, and because it was personal, I'm sort of happy to sort of post it out. And I think the algorithm likes you posting every day.
Who's got time for that, man?
Well, me.
Periodically.
Yeah, I know, but there's some of these things what you see about what Instagram kind of wants you to do. It's just like, it's impossible. It's no, it's not.
It's like a really needy girlfriend or a really needy boyfriend. It's got impossible standards.
Yeah, and the thing is, at the moment, and I think it's happened to quite a lot of creators, is, well, I think it happens to a lot of people, but it's kind of only showing my posts to maybe like 20% of the people that follow me as well, which is a bit I don't know, it's just a bit puzzling. Like, why are you doing me like that, Instagram? But
that's a recent change as well, like over the last couple of months. Like, it's really screwed a lot of people over.
It really has. It's been quite rough, but I think, again, this keeps you in the sort of, it's a good separator as to why you do it, because it did actually wind me up a little bit, because I was like, why is it like this, and why is it doing this? I feel like I'm not getting the reach that I normally could. But then after so long, you like, it doesn't matter. Again, it just feels like it's about what it feels like to you, and I'm really happy with
more personal
going, and that's kind of where you need to sort of keep your head in, like, what are you happy with and whatnot, and I am, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Cool.
I guess on like a
I'm back
similar
in 1
note,
second, guys, carry on.
So on like a similar note, like who do you, obviously you're a family man, so how do you find time, like, juggling like family life, personal projects, and obviously work life as well? Because it's quite a difficult act, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit of a night owl as well, so yeah, it's I mean, I do kind of like my client work, let's say, in the day. I can't actually say that, because I don't do that. I just kind of, I think because I'm at home as well, it never actually feels like I'm putting like an 8-hour shift in, when in fact I'm doing like 10, but because I'm sort of getting up and sort of like helping with the kids now and again, and doing, like, oh, I'll take a break and I'll mow the lawn or something like that. It's like
I guess it's like
break.
Broken up a bit more.
It's broken up way more, and in the evenings I like to, like, about this sort of time, my partner gets to bed quite early, and I'll just sit down and crack a little drink and put some music on, and I'll do some work, and I'm really happy doing that. So I think that's when it kind of looks like I'm like grinding all the time, but I tend to stay up until like kind of like midnight doing my own thing. So
I guess it's that's the benefit of the COVID situation, isn't it? Where you are working from home. Like, not everybody works great as a 9 to 5. You feel you work best when you feel creative.
Absolutely.
And you can
I was a terrible employee. I had so many like sick days, because some days I just cannot be asked, but other days I can like double it up and really grind it out. But in a work setting, that's quite incompatible. And I kind of like to make my own moves as well, but again, that's incompatible with sort of an employee vibe. But so yeah, that's why going freelance was the one for me, really.
So how I guess like in Nottingham and Derby, like how do you find like the creative scene over there? Like for me, for example, it's just there's a creative scene in Leeds a little bit, but it's not, obviously, nowhere near the same size as London. There's way more in like Manchester, for example. Or is it just you in your room?
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, it is. It's basically just me in this room. But no, there are a couple of like animation events that I go to, and I kind of still see the people that I used to work with as well. And yeah, I don't really seek it out, to be fair. I kind of have friends who are still creatives, and yeah, it's not necessarily that important if the area has got something to go to it. It's not really something I've thought about, to be fair. But again, I think it's probably because I've got so many friends who are like designers and artists and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, I'm sort of immersed in that already. So, but yeah, that's about it.
And we just getting into 1 hour, so maybe we do like last 2 questions so we don't drag too long. One thing is always nice, because you're talking a lot about the kids, you know, you have the young kids and everything. How, you know, and working from home, how do you feel that, you know, like the separation, you know, like the work and having the kids at home as well? You know, it's always kind of a struggle. If, you know, like if I work from home and my daughter at home, she doesn't really understand I need to work.
She's your worst
always
critic.
make a little bit, yeah, it's always no, but it's always make hard. So it's always nice to hear, like, you know, other parents how they deal with that, you know.
Yeah, I guess that is one of the challenges of working from home, and I don't think it will change, because it's not necessarily that they distract me. Yes, they do. Like they fully do. But I'm kind of happy to be distracted sometimes, especially when it's the kids. I mean, that it seems like just like all right, we're having a break now. Let's have a break. But sometimes I'm well supported. So if I go, look, I'm focusing now, I can't sort of deal with this, and then yeah, I'll be helped out. So I'm quite happy for the distractions sometimes. I would say most of the time, actually, but at the time it feels like, oh, I was actually in the zone there, and now I'm distracted. But then it quickly turns to, oh, okay, we're having a little play, and that's great. So I can't argue, because I can't grumble, let's say, because, you know, that's way more important than what I'm doing.
Nice. That's quite nice. It's always nice to see, you know, like other people, you know, how they deal every day. Like, because if I work from home, I need to work in the living room, and it's like, you know, it's no closed doors, you know, so it's always hard, you know. And
well, I've sort of got my own sort of like space as well. So I think if I'm in here, then my partner assumes that I'm sort of in the zone. But my youngest has started sort of crawling as well, and he kind of knows I'm in here. So he'll come crawling through, like smash the door down, and he'll come in, and there's not really much to do, but like,
You think they'll like, you know, like the future there'll be some kind of like father-son collaboration? Because you were saying that he's getting into his collage.
Oh, I hope so.
That'd be awesome.
Oh man, yeah, that would be the dream for me. I mean, I'd love to just kind of set them up and just basically just pass on any knowledge that I have to them. So that's nice. When you say, have you got a dream, that is the dream, you know. Sort of passing that on. And every weekend when we sort of doing our craft time, yeah, I get sort of a glimpse of that. Sure.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, I've always, you know, my daughter loves drawing, and I always want to start animating her drawings, you know, just find the time, you know, and she's really into. So the other day I took her to Lake Street on the tunnels. We took some spray cans and went there to graffiti. So it was nice. She's 6 years old, so it's really cool.
Didn't you get one of her drawings as a tattoo?
I have two her drawings as a tattoo.
But none of mine.
And it's just like a line.
Have you got any tattoos of his daughter's drawings?
No, I've just got his
James
face as a tramp
my
stamp.
face.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
so let's ask last question for you, you know, so we don't hang too long. James, do you want to ask a question, or anyone else?
If your studio was on Tinder, how would it describe itself?
If it was on Tinder, right.
Yeah. How you sell your work as a team.
Oh God. I wish he'd given me this before, because then I could think of something.
Yeah, but that needs to be on the moment.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I could. I've got like a bit of a potty mind, and
that's fine. You're among friends here.
I don't know. It's might be inappropriate. If my studio, aka this room, was on Tinder, how would it describe itself?
Yeah, like your work, how you describe, you know, like a mix of
I don't know,
different people's parts, you know.
There's probably such a good answer, and I'm not going to hit it.
Willing to try new things.
Willing to try new things. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, cool,
I
man.
can't think. You can't drop that sort of stuff on me.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah, it's all right.
that requires some thought. I'll email you
Yeah, email and we post
a good
later.
response later.
But man, thanks so much for your time. It's been a
huge
pleasure to
thanks.
have you on the show. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm really big fan of your work.
Yeah.
Just want to see where you're going, and I keep pushing. We all want to see where new stuff coming and new style you're doing. Want to see more of that 3D, what you're gonna do. But it's been a pleasure to have you here. Share a little bit of your process and your thoughts with everyone here.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I always get surprised to be asked to do this sort of thing, to be honest. But yeah, I hope it was of use to somebody in some way or another, and it was really nice speaking to you and chilling out and having a chat.
Thanks so much. Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
guys, just everyone know we have the show on Cafe 1001 next month on the 6th of June. Is it right, James? Yeah,
probably.
Is it
With Cub Studio.
Yeah, we're gonna have Cub Studio. So we see you guys, and we announce everything on the Instagram. So just keep an eye on that. Okay, thank everyone.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.